Ed, thank you. I think Ed got it exactly right in his remarks when our goal, collective goal here through the Advanced Manufacturing Collaborative and this event today and everything we're trying to do, it's a team effort that is industry-led, is the right balance for us. And we're proud for everything that we've done to be partners in that. But the key, I think, as Ed mentioned, and what you're going to see today, both our agenda for the collaborative that Ed talked about earlier, and also the agenda you see before you today in today's event is industry-led. And so that's why my appreciation also to Dan O'Connell and the Mass Competitiveness Partnership. As you know, Governor Patrick has placed a great focus on the community colleges. They're a tremendous asset for us, and as we address workforce needs in advanced manufacturing and other areas, we think they're going to be a key to our future success. But if they are a tool and an asset for us, we have to work to understand how to use that tool and asset in the right direction. And the only way it's going to work well is if we have the industry engagement, and the members of the Mass Competitive Partnership have been a leader of that, willing to not just sit back and say, this is what we need, but to, as Dan mentioned, and he's done this personally, to go into the schools, to work with the administration and faculty, and to understand what it takes to bring out programs that will cause the community college certificate holders and graduates to truly be ready for the workforce, including at some of our great and most successful Massachusetts companies. So in the spirit of team effort, I want to start by making some acknowledgments. First of all, to Ed and to his a private sector co-chair, Mitch Tyson, who's going to be with us later this afternoon. And we're doing this all very deliberately. So we have Ed and Mitch, and then Eric Nakajima, who's our public sector co-chair. But it's 2-to-1 private sector. And the composition, we actually worked on this with the legislature, a very important point to us, that the Advanced Manufacturing Collaborative, the majority of the members are members of the industry themselves. We're a lot of other participants on the team, but our goal is to make sure to keep that this is industry-led. So I'm very grateful to Ed and Mitch, who both spent a lot of their time on this personally, and as they certainly have day jobs, of time-and-a-half day jobs, so I'm very grateful. Thank you, Ed. On our side, it's also quite a bit of a team effort, starting from the federal government. So I'm pleased to say that Kate Moore from Senator Elizabeth Warren's office is here with us today. Lisa Nelson from Congressman Joe Kennedy's office is with us here today. Roger Kilmer, the Chief Manufacturing Officer at NIST, a federal agency, is with us here today and has been a great friend to us. This is some things in government, you read a lot about what's happening and make headlines. Some, in my opinion, equally important things that government does don't make the headlines. We have had a great collaboration with the Obama administration and with Roger's agency. This is a major priority of the federal government as well, advanced manufacturing across the United States. Roger's office in particular helped to sponsor a National Governors Association policy forum that we participated in with 8 other states for more than a year. And a lot of the things that you're going to be hearing about today were ideas that we developed with that advice and consultation. So we're pleased that you're here today, but thank you more importantly for everything you've done for us, and to the President and to everything that's been done in Washington. At the state government level, the governor's here now, and you'll hear from him in a minute. The Speaker of the House, Robert DeLeo, is going to be here with us as a lunchtime speaker. Representative Jay Barrows is here. This is we're in his district, and he has been a great supporter of the manufacturing firms along this section of the 495 corridor, and we're thankful to Representative Barrows. And there are a number of people who have brought today's event to fruition, but I'm personally just very thankful for Eric Nakajima's help and for Raya Vaisanen's help as well, and thanks both to them. They have been instrumental not only in pulling together today, but all of the good work of the collaborative from our side. All the credit in our shop goes to them. So I'm very excited to be here with you and part of it today for a variety of reasons. Manufacturing has a proud past in Massachusetts and New England, as all of you know. That's personal to me. My dad was in the manufacturing industry as a young man. He spent a few years at the Ford Motor Company plant in Assembly Square in Somerville, Massachusetts, and then spent the rest of his career down in Connecticut, where I grew up, for a variety of manufacturers, including Winchester and Olin. But we're more excited because we know that, and the reason we're here today is manufacturing doesn't just have a proud past in Massachusetts and New England, but it also has a very bright future. There are, as you probably know, there are more than 7,000 manufacturing firms in Massachusetts today. We wanted all of them to be here today, but this is the biggest room we could find. So we'll work on that next year. The average wage is more than $75,000 a year, well above the state median. Manufacturing today, as you know, is clean and safe, as Ed talked about. It's lean, it's incorporating new equipment and new technologies, demanding higher skill of its worker. Today's manufacturing in Massachusetts competes and wins contracts across the country and across the world, including exporting to China. Ed talked earlier about what we in this room know, but we need to tell everybody in Massachusetts, and that's one thing that I do talk about all the time, that I would say is pretty much stunning to people in Massachusetts right now. If you said there are companies making things in this state and selling them to China, is almost not believable to the average citizen now. So I agree with that. We got a lot of work to do in telling our story about not only the past, the great past of manufacturing in Massachusetts, but the present and future. Ed mentioned the survey or the work done recently by Professor Barry Bluestone and reports on the state of our industry in Massachusetts. Part of that, a survey that Barry did, a very comprehensive survey of many of our state's manufacturers, found that they were both doing well despite this great recession and very optimistic of the future. Employment levels have been bouncing back since the Great Recession. Manufacturers in Massachusetts have increased their productivity by more than 8% a year at an annual rate over the last 5 years since 2007. That's 5 times the growth in productivity of the private sector as a whole. So that's another very important point for all of us to take away today. We're not here today to talk about manufacturing in some romantic sense, that it's something that it was a great past and wouldn't it be nice if it had a future here. It's not a wishful story about our future success. It's a story of the manufacturers in this room and those like them all around the state simply working harder and smarter and being more innovative and entrepreneurial than anyone else in the world. And in a state in Massachusetts and New England, we are simply keeping ahead of the curve through a lot of hard work and ingenuity, and that's the way we're going to continue to be successful. As results of Professor Bluestone's survey, 65% of the manufacturers said they plan to expand production over the next 5 years, and 70% expected to increase employment going forward as well. So we have a lot to look forward to, and I think that as you see today's program, you'll very much see that we're not talking about the past of Massachusetts manufacturing. We're talking about what does a cutting-edge, 21st century advanced manufacturing economy in Massachusetts look like, and how do we make that happen? The other reason that I'm excited very much to be here today, and it's been mentioned before, the people in this room really come from all around the state. And if you've heard Governor Patrick talk about the Massachusetts economy and his reasons for optimism about it over the last few years. And he's talked about the focus on innovation and entrepreneurship, and that is where we've had a tough 5 years in Massachusetts in the Great Recession, not as tough as some others, but it's been a tough time. But if you take the longer term view and you look forward to where we are in the world and what does our future look like, for a lot of folks, they're talking about innovation and entrepreneurship is the key to the 21st century economy, which frankly is very good news for us because that is right in our wheelhouse. That's what our strength is. So that's a story that we've been talking about, the governor's been talking about. But frankly, as we try to get that message out, the truth is there are people who feel that when we talk about innovation and entrepreneurship, they get a sense, well, gee, that may be something that is going to be helpful for those fancy businesses in Boston and Cambridge, and that's great for the PhD students who graduate from Harvard and MIT. but is an economic strategy based on innovation and entrepreneurship, really creating economic opportunity for everybody around the state. And for the governor and me, you all are the best example of how that is true. And it is through the innovation and entrepreneurship that you've demonstrated, that you will be talking about today, that makes it possible for us to go to the Merrimack Valley, to the South Coast, to central Massachusetts, to the Pioneer Valley, and even further west, Ed, than the Pioneer Valley, out to the Berkshires, believe it or not. And everywhere we go, we find you, and we find you and big companies and small companies doing amazing things, incorporating innovation and entrepreneurship, reinventing yourself into a 21st century economy. So you are what give us the confidence that Massachusetts, with a focused strategy on promoting innovation and entrepreneurship, has a bright future, and a bright future that creates economic opportunity for everybody in every region of the state. So thank you very much for being here today. I'm excited to be with you.